Hi, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dustin from New Ministries. And the last couple of posts I've put up on the groups now has been about sin and not judging. Don't judge your brother, because when you do, you're judging the law. And don't judge the mistake that your brother makes and focus on the speck he has in his eye when you have a plank in your own. Now, the next story I'm looking at right now that I wanted to really bring this about in full circle today is in John 8. And it's about the woman who was caught in an adulterous act. And by the law of Moses, she used to be stoned. And, Jesus says to the crowd that brings her to him, he says, you know what? He who is amongst you without sin cast the first stone. Now what happened was they were convicted by their conscience because they have sinned. And they were living contrary, whether it was a big sin or not, they were living contrary to the law that Moses was written by God, that was given to Moses by God. You see, now, the issue is, why are we so busy looking at other people's sin? Why are we so busy focusing on the mistakes that other people have made and pointing them out? You see, sometimes we inadvertently tear others down for a sin or mistake they've made. But we're not to do that. Because, you see, we're to come alongside of one another in peace and love. To help pray with each other. To be there in support and asking for deliverance. To ask God to deliver you from the sins that you're doing. You see, if God didn't condemn us for our sins, but came to pay a price to redeem us, then who are we to judge? My God is the only judge. Our God is the only judge. So judge not lest he be judged first, for all things that you judge will be measured back unto you. That being said, if you're viewing somebody who's committing a sinful act, don't cast that stone upon them. Don't judge them. Because, see, many times it's being hypocritical, because the aspect is, even if their sin is large and blatant, and it's obvious for everyone to see, if you go home and you sin in the private, even if it's just by saying a profanity, you're still sinning. You're still breaking the law of what God says not to do. Now, sometimes you think it's okay because it's a small sin, and obviously you're gonna seek God about it. But the thing is sin. It all equals the same. God says that sin is equal to death. So we are to ask in our own personal time to make sure that God helps us maintain our own Christian walk. Because, see, I wouldn't want you to tear me down, as I'm sure that you wouldn't want me to tear you down if you were making a mistake. So I would encourage you today not to cast that first stone, but be there to support and love one another. You see, at the end of that story in John 8, in verse 10, it starts and he says, when Jesus raised up and saw that no one but the woman, he said to her, woman, where are those accusers of yours? Has no one condemned you? And she said, no one, Lord. And Jesus said to her, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. So, don't be the one to cast that stone. But be there as God is to love and encourage. You see, not only do we need to do it for people who aren't followers of Christ, but we need to remember to do it for each other as followers of Christ. Go forth and be blessed. Continually love one another. Encourage one another. Be there to support when you see someone falling. Be there to help pick them up when they feel like they're falling and drowning in sin. Don't scrutinize, don't judge. Don't point fingers. But be there with that warm, loving embrace. Because, you see, God knows you. And you may think you know you. But he's calling us to be new. So it's time to be the new kingdom. Be blessed. And know that God's on your side.